a Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to all things Heroes Prime and Heroes Reborn related things. I am Lilith, and joining me, as always, is...
It's me, Ricky. Hello.
Today we have another, I wouldn't call it a roundtable, but we have a special guest, our buddy from ET Canada, Mr. Graeme O'Neill.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, it's going good. Yourself?
I'm good. It's sad to hear it's over.
Are you?
That makes
Are
one
we?
of us.
Hey, be nice.
Anyway, would you like to tell our audience a little bit more about you? Because they only get snippets of you when they watch us on ET Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I work for Entertainment Tonight Canada. I'm a producer there, so following all things entertainment. But yeah, we've also been doing some recaps of television shows. So we did Heroes Reborn, also doing Supergirl right now. But yeah, just kind of doing some videos and getting some reaction to different shows. It's kind of interesting to get that feedback. Obviously, you guys do it as well in terms of social media. It's always fun to interact with other fans, other people that are watching the show, and get their opinions as well. And obviously, there's a lot of differing opinions about different episodes. So yeah, it's been really fun to get feedback from doing Heroes.
I think it's interesting that there's different kinds of feedback as well, because at least people are talking about it. As many, the ratings don't seem like, a lot of people are watching it, but from the social media buzz, a lot of people are at least talking about it. So, I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's hard to judge ratings now because now they're starting to look at 7-day ratings instead of just overnight ratings. Apparently, I know here in Canada, Heroes did really well in terms of the 7-day ratings. Yeah, I don't know what the stats were in the States, but yeah, so it seems like it's harder and harder to judge ratings.
I think the last thing I heard was that they were counting views on like the website, and they also released the Heroes Reborn app where you could kind of stream the episodes as well. So at least they're starting to kind of move a bit up to date with not away from the Nielsen ratings, but they're adding extra bits onto it. So yeah,
just the conventional way is no longer the normal way to watch shows.
Exactly. So how much of the original Heroes series did you watch?
Yeah, so I only watched season 1 of Heroes, and I didn't watch any further than that. Because I like season 1. I'm trying to remember how I originally watched it, because I think I didn't watch it right when it was airing, and because I was hearing so much buzz about it, I started watching it. And I think by the time I finished season 1, part of season 2 had already aired. And you're hearing all the the negative reaction about season 2. So I think I just never bothered to get around to watching season 2. So it was interesting. I know some people don't like the fact that I didn't see all the series, but I found it an interesting perspective to watch this new show because sure, they need to honor the original fans and entertain them, but I feel like you have to open it up to a new audience as well. So I found that I'm pretty much a new audience. I mean, I remember, the basic characters in that from season 1. But yeah, not all the little idiosyncrasies and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was interesting watching it from pretty much being a new audience member to the show.
I think that's especially for this podcast, because every person we kind of talked to has watched most of all the seasons, and I think you coming in as a quote unquote novice, it's really good and an interesting point of view, especially in the fact that essentially Heroes Reborn was meant to be not a reboot, but like a brand new story, completely separate. And it's going to be interesting to hear your take on some of the storylines and how some of the older characters as well, like how you felt that they either grew or were received. So
right, and yeah, I guess I would say that I didn't find there was many points that I was completely lost about what was going on. I mean, I was aware who Claire Bennett was. Like, obviously, I remembered her storyline from season 1. So, but yeah, I was just thinking that even if I didn't know that character, I don't think I would have been too lost in the show. I think they did a good job of using her as a factor, but I don't think if you've never seen the show that would have been confusing to you, like who this girl they're talking about is.
Yeah, because she took up most of the first half of the season, and she wasn't even on screen for most of it. She was just that kind of that mythical figure.
Well, she's off in Nashville.
Exactly.
Okay, so can we talk about what you did like for the season of Heroes Reborn?
What I did like, I I know you guys knocked me, but my favorite storyline was definitely Carlos. I found that a really interesting thing to have this person who actually doesn't have any superpowers and is almost kind of faking it. And yeah, so when the show started out, and when it was clear that he didn't have superpowers, I was really interested to see where that character was going to go. It was an interesting idea of that, someone can be a hero without actually having these supernatural powers. Yeah, so he was a really interesting character to watch. I did find as the show continued that, they didn't use him as much, which I found a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I found him to be a really interesting character. And I love those June 13th episodes. I thought that was when the show really came together. And really there was a big payoff. Like I found it a little bit slow. I guess it would have been the first 5 or 6 episodes. I can't remember what June 13th was. I think it was 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. Can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
So I remember finding it a little bit slow. Like actually, I think I watched the first 4, I guess, and then I was actually away for a couple weeks. And I came back, and I came back on a Thursday night. So I rushed watching the 2 episodes that I missed, so I could catch up before the new episode aired. And watching the 2 episodes that I missed, after watching, was like I could have missed those 2 episodes and not missed a beat.
Yeah,
not much happened. So I thought the show really came together in those June 13th episodes. There's a lot of payoff and all the setup that they'd had for the first 6. And I was really hoping they would keep up that momentum that they created in that 2-parter. I didn't think that they did. I thought things really slowed down again after that 2-parter. But I think, those 2 episodes really showed, and the finale did as well, really showed the potential of the show, how exciting it could be. I just wish they'd kept up that momentum a little bit more throughout the rest of the season.
I just want to know, like, how long did it take you to kind of figure out that Carlos wasn't actually a special, like an Evo? Were you one of those people who were like batting back and forth, like, oh, he could be, he couldn't, he could?
Oh, no, pretty much right. Yeah, once they first, I'm trying to remember, like, it was the first episode or second episode. But yeah, and pretty much, I don't think I ever thought that, oh, he does have hidden superpowers or discovered he had superpowers. No, all the way along, because it seemed like that's how they're setting him up as, kind of the everyman. Yeah. I was kind of faking it as a superhero, very much like Batman, because Batman doesn't have any superpowers. He just has these great suits, and that's what kind of Carlos had as well. So it was an interesting perspective to have in the show.
Yeah, me and Lilith had so many different comic book characters that we've kind of compared him to, like masked superheroes. Like you've got Batman, then you've obviously got Iron Man because of the suit.
Right, yeah, that's true.
And then from like the last couple of episodes, we kind of saw him as, well, I did anyway, Daredevil, in the fact that, he's that kind of street level kind of hero just dealing with like his little part of town, right, or like his little thing. So, yeah. Okay, so you obviously didn't have a chance to read any of the comics, did you? Because most of them were concerned with Carlos, or at least the El Vengador character of like, the brother and what was the brother's name? Grandfather. Yeah, Oscar Father Maurizio, and it kind of feels like they had a lot, especially from like the kind of teaser trailers. Like it seemed like that Carlos was meant to be a big thing because he was at front and center of most of those trailers to begin with. Right. And it just feels kind of like, oh, we've got this comic book coming out. We can tell most of his story in that. And that's the thing about Heroes, I think, is like most of the hardcore fans are going to watch or take whatever information they can, whether it be with the webisodes or the comics. Right. But, the kind of casual fans, we don't know how. So, yeah.
I'm actually really surprised they didn't exploit Ryan Guzman's abs more. I thought it was totally going to be like a Stephen Amell season 1 Arrow thing where he's just like always like working out with his shirt off. And I'm actually really surprised they didn't go that route. And I'm glad they didn't actually.
That could be a web series. They could do him just like doing a workout, showing his ab routine.
Well, like the show, they made you wait for it, and every now and then they brought him out. So yeah.
Supporting character.
Exactly. MVP supporting character.
Yeah.
Let's go over what you didn't like.
What I didn't like. Yeah, I think it's kind of an overall thing that what I was saying the other day is that, you have the show where all these people, all these regular people, seemingly regular people, have these superpowers. And I just find that the show is just a little bit too convoluted and a little bit too sci-fi. I feel like it's a little too serious, I find. Like, it would be nice if they had a little more humor in things and just had fun with it a little bit more, because you have all these characters that have these superpowers, but they don't really get to have fun with their powers.
Yeah.
It's always, everyone's very serious all the time. Like, I can't even really think of any real comic moment in
it feels like they were missing that kind of hero season 1 kind of character.
Yeah.
The one who kind of like embraced his powers. But I think also at the same time, like, you can say, you know, they're pretty much in a world that people kind of, they're hiding, aren't they, from humanity? So apart from El Vengador, he's not out there having fun, but, you know, he's the only one who seems to be like out there using his powers for good in like kind of broad daylight, or, you know, dark, the nighttime kind of thing. So I think that's one of the reasons why. But
because it's interesting, because I'm watching Supergirl as well right now. We're doing reviews on that, and obviously it's a very, very different setup of a show. Yeah, but that show has a really interesting balance in that you have the Supergirl scenes where it is very serious and very comic book driven and that kind of side. But then you have the other side of it that is her life in the office where she works. Yeah, and those scenes are very comedic, great, like, kind of character development. And so watching these two shows simultaneously, it's like, oh, I wish Heroes had a little bit more of this, just the kind of a fun tone of things instead of just being so serious. But I realize the setup is like, it's all driving towards that the world is going to end. So sure, people are going to be pretty serious about things. But it would just be nice if they're able to get a little more comic moments in it. And just being a little bit more. I just found it just trying to keep track of all these characters, and I just wish that they'd focus things a little bit more. And I did find that, especially when you're only doing 13 episodes, there's so many great TV shows on now that really plan out an entire season. And I don't feel like they did that well. I feel like, I guess they planned this out from start to finish, but I think they could have had things build a little bit better and spread things out a little bit better over the course of 13 episodes. It's just a shame that they didn't kind of do that a little bit better.
I think it was kind of like they had the beginning plan, they had the end planned, and they had those June 13th plans. Right. Those were like concrete, and the rest was kind of filling in.
Right. Yeah. Because definitely found like some episodes that some characters, they're literally just kind of sitting around for the whole episode. Like, they literally didn't do anything the whole episode.
But I think we did need a bit more comedy, and I think if we had more HRG and Quentin together, I think they were really a good pairing together, like the kind of straight man to the kind of quirky sidekick. So
and even I guess that would have been a little bit similar to season 1, but having a couple characters that are just discovering their powers and maybe they're having trouble, controlling them or using them in the proper way, like that could have been fun to have as well.
We've talked to you about numerous episodes. We will put links into. We'll put a link in the show notes to your playlist. But let's talk about the finale and how you felt as a kind of quote unquote novice. How did you feel about the kind of the payoff to HRG?
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. Going into the episode, I thought, wow, there's a lot they have to cover in this final hour. And even as the episode started out, because it was very focused on, I'm going to forget their character names now, Ren and what was the
Emily?
Emily. Yeah, surprised in this episode is like, wow, the first 15 minutes is like all them, like these two minor characters. Like, where's everybody else? But I thought they did a really good job at getting everyone in there. And like we said before, I was surprised at how little Carlos is in the finale, but they did fit everyone in there. And the reveal of Bennett. Right at the end there, because even as the episode was going on, it's like, wow, he's still not in this. Like, we're at the more than halfway point, we're still not seeing him. I started wondering, like, are we actually going to see him again? But I thought that was a great reveal to have that. And Tommy, and I love that scene where Tommy was in oh god, I forget all these names.
Evernow,
where he's going through his memories and kind of was a look back over the season, which was a nice moment. So I thought they did a really good job of bringing everything together in the finale. It was definitely one of the, other than the June 13th episode, I think this was the strongest episode that they did.
How did you feel about HRG's death as like a quote unquote novice? How did it feel like seeing his kind of journey from the beginning to the kind of end? And did you have a kind of an emotional response to his sacrifice?
Not really. I thought it was a nice moment for the character. And I know that character has been around the whole time on this series. Not that I didn't like him as a character, but I didn't find him over the course of the season that I was that drawn to him. He was definitely the main character and kind of driving the story. But I wasn't shocked. Maybe because he was gone for the past couple of episodes that I didn't really miss him that much. So having him come back just to die, it wasn't a big effect on me, really. But yeah, I thought it was a very effective way to do the story. I just wouldn't say that I had an emotional reaction to it at all.
It's all right. It's all right. You don't have to let us know. You're a little bit welled up, so because I know I was. Because but
you love Bennett, don't you, Lilith?
I do. I'm very butthurt about it. I mean, it's a logical conclusion to the character, but I feel like they shot themselves in the foot for any future miniseries events or anything like that.
I think if there's one character that they can take from the past and bring to the future without having to worry about it, I don't think a lot of people will be that hurt if that happens. But yeah, I do think they have shot themselves in the foot.
Right.
I mean, unless they're going to give it to Henry Zabrowski, I'll be okay.
Man, yeah.
But I didn't think it was necessary to kill off some characters. Because I did find over the course of the season, I was like, I feel like more characters should be dying along the way here.
Do you think that the kind of overabundance of death in the final 2 episodes kind of took away from the kind of impact of, especially Noah's death at the end? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we had all these kind of characters who were just killed off really quickly.
Right.
You know, like Joanne and then Luke. And it didn't feel like it was building to me anyway. It felt like it kind of took away from the final death. So. Right.
Yeah, I think they probably should have figured a way to spread the deaths out over several episodes. Because really, that's what shows do now. I mean, it used to be, characters would stick around all season, then in the finale, people start dying or whatever it is. But now on TV shows, people can die, out of nowhere in a random episode, which I think that would have been interesting for Heroes to do. Like, even some of these cast members, like, kill Zachary Levi off episode 4 or something. Like, it would have been shocking to do that, like a big cast member like that. And I think that would have upped the ante with things a little bit. Because I find, sometimes with these shows, like, everyone seems invincible sometimes. Like, the stakes don't seem very high a lot of the time. So I think it would have been interesting throughout the season to, randomly kill people, because it really would have put you on edge of, you really wouldn't know what was going to happen next.
Okay.
Speaking of Zachary Levy, how do you feel about, like, his death scene in, like, the first 5 minutes of the finale?
Yeah, I thought. You explained it to me the other day of why he actually died and how he actually stopped the fireball, whatever it was coming. It was very abrupt that he finished himself off. But I feel like that's what this episode had to do, because they had to pack so much in whatever it is, 42 minutes, that they had to move on to the next scene. Okay, this guy's going to die. Okay, let's kill him. Let's move on to the next scene. Because they really didn't have time to spare here, because they had to fit so much in. Yeah, I'm really surprised that they didn't. They really could have spread the finale over 2 hours, like episode 12 and 13. They could have really spread out that story. Because I remember me and Ricky talked about in episode 12, like, they had the whole Erica flashback, which I almost forgot about watching the finale, which was now seeing those flashbacks in the context of the whole series, it was like there really wasn't any point to that. Like, they really could have skipped over that and spread out this kind of final hour over the last 2 hours of the show to really have things have a little bit more impact.
Cool. Okay, so if you had to pick, like, one kind of low light of the season, what would that be? Like a real big sticking point.
I would probably. If I had to choose a storyline, I'd probably say Erica's flashbacks. But that goes to the overall feeling of just things moved a little bit too slow sometimes.
Is that because of the nature of the subject matter, or is that just the actual episode itself? The
flashbacks, you mean?
Yeah. I
just find that I didn't learn anything from those flashbacks. Sure, like we learned that she was very protective of her child. But yeah, I don't think I really gained anything. I didn't have any more sympathy for Erica, because I always think about that. It's like after you watch something, like, what was the point of that? And I really don't see what the point of that was, to waste all that time in your last episode profiling Erica. It really didn't seem very necessary in the grand scheme of things.
I think
it's kind of for the tradition from the last 2 seasons. So.
Right, yeah.
But I can kind of see your point. Like, I think I did have like a real big problem with the kind of subject matter, even though they've kind of been hinting at that for like most of Heroes in itself, where they kind of got around it, or you thought it was going to happen, but it still is up in the air to me as to like her kind of reasoning for the kind of what she was doing. Like, was she doing it because of what happened to her when she was younger, or was she doing it because she wanted to protect Taylor, a character who she pretty much only had one scene with, and killed her boyfriend and kind of left to the side while she was trying to do this Machiavellian plan, do you know?
Yeah, I really didn't see why it was necessary. And yeah, I liked Erica as a character of the whole season. I thought she was a decent villain.
Yeah.
It's just that, it just seemed unnecessary to spend that kind of time on her when it's not really giving us any new knowledge.
So you don't think even like pushing that episode a bit more into the middle of the season would have helped, or at least that story?
Maybe they could have done that, and maybe I wouldn't have that much problem with it. It just, if it's your second last hour of a show, it's all building to your finale. To slow things down with flashbacks seems very odd choice to do.
Okay, so the final thing I kind of want to ask is, this can be twofold. I want to know your kind of MVP of the season and like your kind of season highlight, like if you like your either storyline or moment. So do you want to go with MVP for the season first?
MVP. I gotta say somebody other than Carlos, right?
Yeah.
Who else did I really enjoy? Oh, now I'm thinking. I can't believe I didn't say my low point was the virtual reality stuff. I hated that stuff.
Okay. By the virtual reality stuff, do you mean like the actual Evernow game play?
Yeah, like game stuff with Katiana Girl. I was like, what is that? Because that was definitely like the first half of the season. There was a lot of that. And I was like, what is going on here? I mean, I'm sure gamers love that kind of stuff, and the sci-fi fans love that kind of stuff, but I really didn't get into that at all.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I can't think of anything else on top of my head, but I think the absolute opposite to that is Carlos. And I think why he appeals to me so much is that he was so outside this convoluted world that you had to keep track of.
Yeah.
He was really the outsider. And obviously he's the most relatable because he is just an everyman kind of thing. So I think that was the strongest point for me. And then definitely in terms of a moment, definitely those June 13th episodes, I think my favorite moment was one, like figuring out that these Tommy and Melina were Claire's kids. And then just the fact that they had, from June 13th, after they were born, then they were sent back in time to hide out. And so now it put the first half of the season all in context, like why she was up in the Arctic and where Tommy was. So that was a great moment for me in terms of just, putting everything into context.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, really. So do you have any social media or projects you want to shamelessly self-promote?
Not really, but my Twitter is just Graeme O'Neill, and then on Facebook I'm Graeme O'Neill as well.
And keep a lookout for your Supergirl reviews as well.
Supergirl's still going.
Yeah.
Listen, thanks, guys.
No problem.
So that was our little quick chat with Graeme. We hope you found it entertaining and informative. And until next time,
download the podcast, save the world.